Guardian, we've picked up a high-gain transmission. Origin point is somewhere along the coast, near the Cosmodrome.
Folks, let's go ahead and get crack-a-lagging. What is up, Guardians across the universe? It is time for another brand new Cosmodrome Radio. This is episode 51, 52. Or is it? No, it was always 51. 51. And we out here getting it. We are only about 5-6 days away from Season of the Wish. That we are back again talking about everything that is Destiny related and all the great things about it. It is going to be a great episode, and I'm kind of hyped, no lie, because originally we weren't even gonna have an episode. Hopefully everyone had a great Thanksgiving and whatnot if you celebrated here in the States. But originally we were gonna have an episode, and then Bungie went, "Hey yo, here's all this in a twid," and it was like, damn.
Surprise!
Like, of all things to just throw at us, all right, we're just gonna throw this on the table and just say fuck it. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was fun. And it was like, you know what? Tease out of town. So I figured I'll call in a guest. We got a pretty good one for you folks this week. But don't forget, folks, that you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, all those great places. After the next day after the show it airs, you can follow us on Twitter or X, whatever Elon calls it, at Cosmodrome Radio. If for some reason you cannot find the podcast somewhere, camera went sideways there. If for some reason you can't find the podcast, just go to cosmodromeradio.com. You can find it there and check us out. Check out the merch store. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do for a Christmas design. I'm trying to figure out something cool, but we got to see what happens with Season of the Wish. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited to see what goes down. Originally, when we got the collab armor announcement, I was like, Witcher themed like merch with Craig. But then I was like, I want to get sued, so no. So
what you need to do is have Craig sitting on the sleigh with Santa instead of a pile of presents, a pile of exotic engrams.
Well, I was trying to figure out if something like Craig bringing Riven a cookie or some shit. Like, you know how we can give Riven a cookie during the dawning. I was like, that'd be kind of funny. So I might look into that. But we're going to dive in. Oh, hey, there you go. But my name is Panda the Paladin. We are back, and I'm excited. I actually have had a pretty fun week when it comes to Destiny 2 this week. It's been kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie. Like we did a good quota. Things went well. Probably gonna run a Ron tonight after the stream. After I get some stuff done with Cajun. Speaking of Cajun, we have the man who somehow beat me in our race to finish Doctor Who in our binge-a-thon. Didn't tell me about some things. I'm a little sad. R.I.P. my man Daddy Pink. But Cajun, how you doing?
First off, to quote River Song, spoilers. Okay, I am not gonna spoil anybody's first watch of Doctor Who. Second of all, yeah, me and the girlfriend, we were excited to wrap that up. Definitely gonna be taking some time tomorrow on my TikTok live to talk about that. As well as kind of review the Doctor Who special that's going to be releasing in the morning on
so
Disney
excited.
Plus.
I'm so excited.
Super excited. But outside of that, Destiny 2, won't lie, this twid gave me a lot to really think about as far as what to expect, not just for next season, but also for next year. And lo and behold, freaking after that, it was like, hey, bounty grind. And yeah, I've been at that for about 2 days.
I wasn't even worried about bounties this time. It was very much I'll worry about bounties next season when we get to worry about the transfer over to final shape and whatnot.
Well, it was the dungeon. That's kind of depending upon how they played it out, it was yeah, let me just go ahead and get it done. And fair then, enough. Then it was that quasi state because yes, the press release confirmed that Final Shape is going to release on the 27th of February, but we have no official statement from Bungie, and it's it feels like they're tiptoeing around that
they don't
situation.
want to admit it yet. They don't want to admit it yet. That's the problem.
Yeah, and it feels like we're gonna get a last minute decision. So it's like
definitely gonna happen.
So it's kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't. So I was like, okay, screw it, bounty prep. Because if anything, I want to get that battle pass done early. Anyways,
fair enough. And then we have the president of the Zivu Wrath fan club, who hopefully will finally grace us with his president on camera next week. Finally, after all this time, Diva, how you doing?
Hopefully,
Diva,
I gotta keep them wanting. That's what keeps them coming back.
Oh my God.
It's the mystery of it all.
It almost sounds like your man's trying to advocate for his OnlyFans or some shit.
Oh my
Like,
Lord.
look, hey, you gotta make that money however you can. Remember, sex work is the oldest profession in the world.
Fair enough.
Facts, facts.
And then we have our special guest, who's been overdue to be on the show for a while, out here making good tracks for the people, out here talking about Destiny and whatnot, who had some spicy takes about the Twid himself that I wanted to get him in here. Lost Angel Havik, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How you living?
I'm doing pretty good. It's gonna be a good time. So we want to like tell people like where they can find you, what you doing, and whatnot.
Oh yeah. So of course I rap and sing. I've been doing that for ever since I was 16 years old. So I'm part of a group called Havik. You can check out group stuff at havmusic.com. My solo stuff you can check out at iseeyoulaters.com. That's later spelled Layters. But I also make gaming content. So I cover Destiny, but I've also been covering a lot of Liza P as well. You can check that out at youtube.com/@LayTatoClips, because I am a potato and my name is Lay. So
there you go. All right, bet. Well, let's go ahead and dive into this. So, Bungie. First, let's talk about the first article we got on, about the beta that we're getting, and I had even told everybody on this cast that this was going to happen, that they were going to delay, that they were going to delay the freaking the in-game LFG, and look, lo and behold, they said, "Hey, yo, we're gonna delay the in-game LFG." But I love the way they spun it. Because it was like, hey, either we can delay it and beta test it ourselves, and it will take I don't know how long because we just fired a bunch of people, or we can have y'all do it for us because we ain't got enough motherfuckers to do it. And I was like, huh. That feels a little weird the way you put that, Bungie, but sure, let's go about this. So for those who don't know, who didn't see the article, Bungie is going to be rolling out the in-game LFG, sort of like a wave system. They're going to have a stress test where everyone's going to be requested to hop into raids on November 30th and try things out from 9 a.m. Pacific to 5 p.m. Pacific. So make sure that you come through on that day and like hop in a raid and try things out through the in-game LFG system. Everyone's already clowning on the way it looks, because if you look at the create window for the in-game LFG, you have campaign, crucible, dungeons, gambit, raids, seasonal, vanguard, and other. And everyone's like, Bungie, what's other? And I'm like, this is bad. Like this feels like D2 Craigslist.
Hold on. So when compared to other LFG systems and other games, other MMOs, there's always an other category that kind of eclipses anything outside the big major match or non-match made stuff. So this will be like world quest farming. I'm using like World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy. So
other spicy.
Right, like it feels like D2 Craigslist, because truth be told, if you go on the app and look at the app LFG, the D2 like companion app, they have it labeled as all activities, or space keep it chill, or space up for anything, or space looking for help. Like they specifically specify these general categories to not leave themselves open for memes. And it's like, that's a little weird, Bungie. Why'd you go and do that? And it's also like what also bothers me about this system is they're going to be eliminating the companion app LFG when this rolls out, and releasing a companion app for the in-game LFG. And I'm like, how's that gonna work? Like, is it gonna be as limited as this? Or like, can you like join someone's fire team from your phone? It will join you in game? Like, how's that gonna work? Like, it just it feels like they've bitten off something more than they can chew, and I'm a little worried about it. I don't know how y'all feel about this.
Well, the way I think about it, like it makes sense in the sense of you can't split the player base too heavily. And if you have one system that people are like that you're trying to integrate and make best, like the best it can be, if you have people like who just refuse to learn the new system, refusing to roll over, then the system is bound to fail, regardless. But on the same time, different token, if your system just fucking sucks, you can't be mad at people. And generally, most people just use Discord anyway. So I'm excited to see how it plays out.
I mean, I think.
Go ahead. Havik.
No, I was gonna say. I mean, on one hand, I think that any type of like making things more accessible via in-game means is always good, just because you got folks that, aren't necessarily too savvy with like hopping on the phone and going through the apps and stuff like that, or using Discord and everything like that. But I just think that, there's also, unfortunately, a lot of like toxic experiences people have with LFG in the app right now. Like I even had one, you know what I mean? Recently, well, not too recently. Like I think it was like months ago. I know it was this year. But there's no shortage of people I've heard that from, like saying like they specifically don't use LFG because they had a bad experience or a couple of bad experience via it. So I just think that however they approach it, however they fine tune it, they just got to be careful. I know there's some things that they just can't, like realistically, there's some things that just are kind of inevitable. But how this beta testing works, and how the overall full launch in game works does matter, just because like if it has problems once it goes fully live in game and stuff like that, it might just kind of shoot them in the foot. And Bungie's just kind of at a place where they can't really afford too many of those at this current time. So but I'm cautiously optimistic about it. I mean, we'll see how it goes. I don't understand the idea of like making a separate app just for the LFG, just because I think someone else said it before, like, people already use Discord and stuff like that. People already have means outside of the app anyway. So like deleting that element of the app just to make a whole nother app, like just kind of just, I don't know, it just seems like pointless, I guess, like unnecessary.
Okay. So my 2 points. First off, I just reread the whole thing. I didn't see anywhere where they're saying that they're going to be making a separate app. They're just stating that they're going to be closing down once it's fully live, the new LFG system. They're going to shut down both the website and the companion app, and then they're going to have a new out-of-game Fireteam Finder. So my understanding when I read that is that basically they're going to make an out-of-game Fireteam Finder both on website and in a companion app that's going to integrate with the one.
So they're going to gut the current thing and just put a new thing in the companion app. Okay, that makes more sense.
Now, as far as the my second point, the beta test, I'm actually not surprised that they went the case of beta test, because let's look. Bungie has never had any type of in-game LFG system that was very cohesive or even full robust compared to other MMOs that have been doing it for a long time. Bungie knows how to scale a freaking dungeon. Bungie knows how to scale a freaking raid, do strikes, nightfalls, etc. LFG system, this is something completely brand new to them, and the fact that they're doing a beta, first off, kudos for them. That gives a chance for us as players and community to assist them in trying to scale this correctly. And if knock on wood, things go smooth, there's no major issues, that can lead to an implementation a lot sooner. Or we discover bugs, we point out major issues, that's going to bring the whole system under a finer microscope for Bungie to know what needs to be addressed.
Right. And that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think what throws me for a loop is that they kind of did the same thing they're doing with the final shape delay, where they sat here and said, yeah, it's coming, guys. It's coming. It's coming. Hey, we delayed it. Hey, it's coming, guys. Hey, it's coming. And then it's like, hey, so we have to do this now. And it's like, so why didn't you tell us this months ago rather than saying, hey, it's coming, guys. It's coming. Don't you worry. It's coming. Like, if you would have said sooner that we were going to have a beta rather than a week before the beta, I think it would have been a little less jarring for me at the very least. Like, it feels a little out of pocket that they're like, hey, yo, we're doing a beta now. Like, I know we just said this, this, and this, but we're gonna do this instead. And that's what makes me feel a little bit like out of sorts with it. Like, you had all these opportunities to tell us, hey, this is the plan, this is what we're gonna do, and you waited till now to say some shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just feels a little weird.
It's also not surprising given what information that we've heard as far as that, basically at the same time we heard about the freaking LFG system is what at the same time some of the devs heard about it. A lot of people didn't even know that this was going to be something implemented until it was announced by Blackburn. I think it was Blackburn who announced it. And it's like, that's not good management. It kind of makes you question a little bit.
Just a little bit.
They announced it. If I recall correctly, they announced the LFG system last with the. I think it was announced with last year's showcase.
It was supposed to roll out with the combination system, but then they split the combination system release from the LFG's release. Like, because they hit when the Lightfall showcase was going on, they had showed both of them sort of side by side, but in like a normal like alpha test. I will say, from what it looks like, other than the emojis, they're gonna roll out emojis later on. Which why are we worried about emojis? Like, other than that, it looks very clean. It looks very concise. You can type your own shit, which is very good. It's probably gonna be censored at the wazoo for a good majority of it, which is good. But like, in terms of it, it looks very specific. Like, hey, King's Fall normal, like stasis only, like looking for group. And I will say it now, and I joked about it on the during the raid the other day. Like now that there's going to be an in-game LFG, you are about to see new generations of Destiny players who have never raided before find out what know what to do means, and it's gonna be a problem.
Oh
yeah. Like you're gonna see motherfuckers get kicked because they're gonna be like, I don't know what to do means. I'm gonna click on it, and they're gonna go in and be like, hey, you guys want to teach me how to do this raid? Bye. Like just go.
Yeah, man.
And it's gonna be sucking, and you're gonna see tweets out the wazoo like, Bungie, I got kicked from your in-game LFG, and it's like, yeah.
That's the thing, man. Like the way they. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say that's what I was saying, man. The way it launches, the way the stress test works and the way it launches matters so much. Like there's a lot riding on it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, because again, like you said, like, you got so many new players that don't know what some of these abbreviations means or don't really know what to do means. Some people that are just like, they might not even have been playing long enough to have some of the loadouts that most regular veteran players have. And let's face it, at this point, if you've played a year, like if you played the last year of Destiny and stuff like that, you probably got something that you can pull together for like a raid or anything in game. You know what I mean? If you've been playing for like at least 6 months to a year, you know what I mean? But someone that's been playing for like a couple of days to like 2 months and stuff like that, they're not really necessarily, they might not have all the things that they need to really be effective. But you also have to have someone that's willing to teach, that doesn't mind them not having any of that. You know what I mean? Someone that have, like, people that have patience. And there's definitely a wealth of people out there that are like that, but again, most of them are going into those situations like, all right, this is going to be a time, and they're able to kind of like tell their people like, hey, like let's be patient, because we were all there, right? We were all learning this stuff at one point and stuff, So, but yeah, it's definitely going to be an issue if you got newer players trying to utilize the LFG thing, because they might not be able to get on till like 3 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? And everybody at that time is probably just trying to run and get it done. But if they don't know what that abbreviation means, they're coming on, getting off a late shift for work, trying to run a raid and do something new. And then, they get kicked. And like you said, there's going to be like, yo, like, what happened? Like, I didn't know what, they didn't say anything. They just kicked me. Like, so that's going to be a terrible experience for people. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. It's very good.
It
It's
will
very
definitely be interesting. Yeah. That's for sure.
Now, going off of some older information that they talked about, from my understanding, the one good thing is that supposedly it's going to be based on a lobby system as well.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully, and I'm going to stress this to any new players, if you use this LFG system, use the lobby as an opportunity to ask questions. For the love of God, ask questions, because that's going to set your understanding of how that party is going to operate. Because if they're not going to answer your questions, back out. If they're answering your questions and they're being respectful, hey, that's a group worth freaking giving a shot, rolling with. I am going to say this, and Bungie, if you happen to hear this, for the love of God, you need to fix this with your group systems, especially for stuff like raids and dungeons and such. Lock the kick out command during combat.
Ooh.
Lock it.
100%.
Stop that shit from happening. Stop people from freaking kicking others from raids and stuff so that they don't get their rewards. That shit needs to be a bannable freaking offense.
Yep.
I think it is a bannable offense.
Well, in
100%.
most Discords, you have to file a report, which the in-game reporting system sucks ass. Let's be honest.
That's one thing I've been saying for a long time, is the in-game reporting system needs an overhaul. And
then on top of that, most LFG Discords, if someone does that and you report them, they're banned. And if they try to circumvent that, they'll keep banning their freaking Discord accounts. And even to the point where if you try to do an LFG with someone who got banned for that shit and they find out about it, they'll ban anybody associated. Like that's something in the community as a whole does not fucking enjoy. And honestly, Bungie needs to do that. Bungie needs to lock the kickout system in combat to where it cannot happen till outside of combat.
That's an excellent point to put out.
Because I've never experienced it, but I've heard the horror stories, and it blows my mind that motherfuckers would do that shit. Like, because here's my thing: like, if you're sitting there like putting in the work, like helping a person get through content, like other than like your shitty idea of humor, what do you get out of that? Like, it boggles my brain, like what you would get out of something like some kind of stupid maneuver like that. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It very much leads to be desired when it comes to that kind of shit. So
a lot of people that just enjoy making other people's day worse. That's it. That's
I was just about to say that, yo. That's exactly what it is. Like, just you got some people that just enjoy making other people miserable. You know.
So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on things but I will be the first. We've talked about it before in terms of the hate speech side of things. That Bungie shit needs to overhaul when it comes to their reporting system. But it like this in-game LFG rolling out will be a real big eye opener that their in-game system needs to overhaul, because the amount of people like just casual players, like I'm probably gonna keep an eye on the forums for a hot minute, like and see, because like a lot of casuals use the forums more than like other avenues and Facebooks and stuff like that. I'm gonna keep an eye on it because I want to see how the numbers look of like I got kicked from a raid, like I had a bad experience, I got a hate attack during a raid, something like that, because it's going to be very determinate of if Bungie needs to do an overhaul, or if Bungie needs to pull a Blizzard and start banning people for basic like communicado in their stuff. And it might have to be like that. Like it might have to.
The sad part is I know that it's gonna end up that way.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
a large quantity of like Destiny 2 players have this like elitist toxic mindset of the game has to be made for the pinnacle like in-game player. And if it's not made for them, then they're absolutely upset and the game needs to be torn apart.
Yep.
I hear it a lot.
It's funny you mention that, Deva, because we're going to be talking about something that's really got half the community divided on, and that's the survivability nerfs that came with.
Let's dig into this twin, kids.
Perfect segue, Deva.
So we'll gloss over this real quick. Witcher collab, cool. I'm excited for some White Wolf action. Well, like I see that like the helmet for Titan looks a little weird, but other than that, I don't think anyone really has any beef with this like collab. I don't think I haven't seen anyone have any beef with this. Like anyone got beef because I ain't seen nothing.
Huh?
I won't lie. My brain just heard something else when you said White Wolf, and I was like, God damn it! Come on, stop.
Oh my Lanta.
Nah, my bro Henrique has had beef with like a lot of the not even just the collabs and stuff like that, just like a lot of the Warlock armor sets and stuff. He's a Warlock main, and he has some very strong feelings about some of the Warlock aesthetics that have been present as opposed to like Titan and Hunters and stuff. But that's the only static I've really heard about it. The most controversy or negative sentiments I saw about the collab was just, the people kind of like loving the aesthetic and then the realization hitting that it was most likely going to be Eververse only. So
all these are Eververse. Like every one of them is going to be Eververse. So like it's what it is. You either gonna have to drop that fucking $20, or you're gonna have to drop that Bright Dust, and that's what it is. Like
it's not gonna be sold for Bright Dust. You might as well pack that up.
No, every collab's been for Bright Dust parts of it. Every collab's been for Bright Dust.
Yeah.
The Fortnite one was, the PlayStation one was. Every one of them's been for Bright Dust.
I don't remember the PlayStation one being for.
Yeah, I don't remember them.
Yeah, no.
I thought the Fortnite one. I remember the Fortnite one was. I put the Fortnite one for Bright Dust. I didn't pay full price for that shit. I'll be the first one to say it.
I think that might have been
worn it since I got it. Like, all I did was get it for the Bright Dust. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean,
but that's actually something that I find to be absolutely hilarious because I'm starting to see a lot of content creators who are like, Bungie, we're tired of all your microtransactions. Be like, all right, kids, now it's time to pull out those wallets. We gotta save Bungie.
See, that's the hard thing about it. That's the hard thing about it. We're like, we don't want to see. We don't want to see Bungie nickel and dime the player base, but then when you find out from the reporting from Schreier and Tassie that they burnt through the Sony money faster than all hell, and the money they were supposed to use to retain their staff, they didn't use to retain their staff. So you're sitting there looking at them sideways like, huh? So it's very much like now people are saying, now we have to give them money because their projections were so more than what they thought they were going to be. They don't want to see their freaking game go under. It leaves you in this like horrible like rock and a hard place where you want to see how the story ends, but then Bungie's making bad decisions when it comes to like the dynamic, and it's just like, what do you do?
I got some thoughts about Eververse in general, but like that particular element of it, because that was probably the most conversation I saw, just the kind of conflict of like, I like this armor set, but I don't know how I feel about supporting Bungie.
Right.
And
that's very much how
I'm sure, especially like when the layoffs happened, we all kind of went through the motions of it. Some of us still are. Depending on, how we view or whatever, friendships and bonds we have with some of the people that did, unfortunately, lose their positions and stuff. But looking at it realistically, unfortunately, there's nothing that we as the players can do in our capacity to really hurt the people at Bungie that we want to see hurt. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like any financial backlash that we take, like if you cancel your pre-order, or if you don't buy an Eververse set and stuff like that, all that translates back to them is more decline in popularity of Destiny, and that was the That was the important bit of the article, basically, where they're saying like, well, we did these layoffs because Destiny, we felt alarmed because Destiny is not performing where it needs to perform at, and something needs to change. You know what I mean? So we've already seen the effect of Destiny dipping in popularity, and that only hurts the people that we actually fuck with and care about. So, you know what I mean? Like, at this point, I feel like if you don't want to buy it, then you don't have to buy it. If you want to buy it, then just buy it. You know what I mean? Like, I all the judgment of like what it may or may not say about you has to go out the window, because at the end of the day, this is a video game and it is a product. You know what I mean? Like, and video games are there to be enjoyed. And quite frankly, the people that designed that stuff, you know, whether they're still there or not, deserve to have their work appreciated. You know what I mean? You know, so like, I don't know. That's just kind of where I stand with it.
I respect it. And, like, you definitely bring up a good point, but we'll have to see how this kind of like plays out. Because truthfully, I'm excited about it, but honestly, I'm tired of the collabs. Truthfully, I'm waiting to see if Bungie keeps the reprisal of old seasonal ornaments like again, like how they did with season of the Worthy. I'm hoping for Season of the Dawn here in a minute. Like, you want to see my wallet open up? Give me my Season of the Dawn bundle. Give me my Saint 14 headbutt that I've been asking for a hot minute that I never got. Like, give me what I want, Bungie. You want to see my wallet? You want to see your 45%? Give me that. God damn it! Like, that's what we got to see. But regardless, let's talk about this artifact real quick. So, I'm looking at this new artifact. And little rinky-dinky looking Christmas ornament looking ass. I'm
glad I'm not the only one that thought that.
Like it looks like some weird little Ahamkara type thing, which is cool and all. But can we talk about how, other than Arbalist, Ariana's Vow, and Wishender, the only anti-barrier we're about to have all of the next 6 months is sidearms?
Yeah.
Like, put that into perspective. If you look at that artifact, the only anti-barrier on the list is sidearms. Like, I just heard Solid X roll it his sleep because he's panicking. Like, the amount of people who are about to be so frustrated about how, like, truthfully, Bungie's did a pretty good thing for a hot minute where, like, anti-barrier auto rifle, cool, just stock every season anti-barrier auto rifle, fine, no big deal. But now they're like, hey, yo, you either popping out Wishender or you better pull out your best sidearm. And the funniest part, and the funniest part about it is they're taking one of the best sidearms in the game, freaking whatchamacallit. I just had my dim up. They're taking Buzzard out of the Nightfall rotation. As they're about to make anti-barrier sidearm be a thing, they're pulling a Hothead from last year, where they took Hothead out of the Adept rotation right when Rockets got hot, and I'm like, that's mighty interesting. Now, granted, some content creators are like, "Ooh, Rat King GMs," and I'm like, no, we don't want that.
Sorry. Who else freaking feels aggravated as God knows what when you see Overload champions freaking teleporting like they freaking crackheads? You want to freaking add freaking rocket launchers to that mix?
I'm still trying to figure that out. Unstop Rocket makes sense. We never had Rocket as a champion mod before, so Rocket Unstop kind of made sense in my brain. But why Overload Rocket? Like, that feels really weird. Like, why Overload Rocket? And it better be that your first rocket stuns the champion, unlike how other Overload weapons work, where it takes a few shots. Because if one rocket don't do it, you better pray to God you got bipod, or it's a wrap, homie. Like, it's about to be a problem.
Screw rocket launcher GMs. It's gonna be the freaking GMs of freaking bipod.
Yeah, like, legitimately.
But
hey,
seriously,
y'all
I'm just gonna say this.
All y'all want. I'm gonna be Monarch Shorty. Look, my little boy let me know yet.
He said he's Monarch or Lock.
Yeah. All I'm gonna say is F in chat for freaking, Overload machine gun. I gotta say that was the best freaking Overload.
Was good.
I will say it was better this season than in the last time it was in rotation. When they first gave when they first gave Thunderlord Intrinsic Overload, that was the first time they had Overload Machine Gun. That season, they didn't calibrate it right, but this season, it's been pretty nice for overload damage. So I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I'm a little sad that we're going back to Unstop Hand Cannon because Overload Hand Cannon feels like the safest option for newer players because you get the Fate Bringer with explosive payload all day. Just have fun with it, easy money. But they're going back to Unstop. They gave you Unstop Bow, so that means every bow is just fucking bike chain this season. Every bow is just Leviathan's Breath, which I find very odd. Bro,
I got no beef with that.
TQs with Unstop, oh god. But like in terms of like Overload Pulse Rifle, you about to see me with Outbreak Perfected in every GM. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited. And then Overload Auto Rifle, like what bothers me is they did Overload Auto Rifle, but they didn't do Overload Auto Rifle SMG combined. I like when SMGs combine with auto rifle because it feels like we're in another season where SMGs don't matter in endgame content. That's like the third time they've done this. They removed SMG from the dynamic, and they're like, there's no point of using SMGs for a whole season. It feels very out of pocket.
And I'm also gonna say this: it's like Bungie, what the fuck? What? Why is it so hard to make a special weapon a anti-champion?
They did.
Seriously.
They did. What was it?
They did trace rifles, and then they did freaking fusion rifles this season. But
we had Unstop Shotgun one time. We had Unstop Shotgun one time.
Yeah, but this is like all freaking primaries. It's like goddamn.
Where's my anti-barrier sniper? Oh wait, you haven't done anti-barrier sniper since you redid the mod system. Because if you recall, back in the old mod system pre-Lightfall, every time there was anti-barrier sniper, it'd be like 5 energy to put it on your class item or whatever, or your arms, whatever it was. Because they wanted to be the most expensive thing in the damn game. That way you weren't just rolling around with a sniper causing mad heat. So I want anti-barrier sniper to come back because that'll be a fun time just rolling around with that.
Dude,
I will say, I find it very weird that Bungie said, "Hey, yo, this is going to be the season of stasis, and stasis is going to be all up in this artifact." Are you sure about that, Bungie? Because this feels more like a solar season than a stasis season.
Oh my god!
I was like, "Yo, my solar build is going to be dope." But there were some stasis artifact perks in there that
there's a couple that I find interesting.
I felt like some of the ones that are like increasing the damage of like shattering stuff. Like I don't know. I feel like I'm definitely going to go in that first day or second day.
I feel like Hail the Storm, where it's like shattering encased targets and stasis crystals deals increased damage. That'll be good for things like for Vergla Curve for that bow. I feel like that'll be good for that kind of like, especially because that bow's had some problems for a while in GMs where it's harder to deal with champions with it. So I feel like that'll be a good combination. But you know, this whole artifact feels like it's more solar based than anything, and it's very interesting. So we'll have to see how that goes. It feels like it's going to be a very rocket heavy season, which makes sense because they're bringing back Dragon's Breath. But it's also like Dragon's Breath ain't going to be doing nothing because we have Gjallarhorn. So who cares? Like it's going to be interesting.
I don't know.
That might actually pop out.
Dragon's Breath.
I won't lie.
Dragon's Breath sound kind of sexy. I ain't gonna lie.
I won't lie. I'm just looking at some of these freaking perks, and I'm like, already, my freaking Hunter with Foe Tracer is going to be having an absolute blast with freaking this. I just revamped my Starfire Protocol build.
I just made a Solar Pressure Scars build because of one thing in this article, and I'm gonna be walking around like not able to die. It's gonna be like I have bootleg Loralee on. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be a fun time this season. I'm telling you.
Like, I'm let Bungie hear you say that.
I was freaking. I was running around earlier with Starfire Protocol build, freaking Heat Rises. I'm just gonna say this: AC-130 Death from Above with a freaking Sunshot hand cannon.
Man, you need to get you on that Rain of Fire, man. Rain of Fire is where it's at. Like people keep sleeping on Rain of Fire.
I've been praising the like good work of Rain of Fire and Vex combo. It is ridiculous. If you want to,
people use Rain of Fire in GMs or in Rage just to reload their guns. Like I saw a bunch of different warlocks fighting Ear Ute, where they would just ick dash to refill their guns and then just keep firing into Ear Ute. I've seen it done before. People do it all the time.
Goaded.
Yeah.
That's
make
crazy.
Cajun crack his head like say what? I'll send you the video because it was fucking legit. But no, so let's talk about these ability changes. I feel like Bungie wants to go to war with the community over this. So I love I love the way they phrase this. So they talked about it before, where it's like they want there to be powerful abilities need to come at a cost to the player and force you to make difficult decisions and whatnot. But then they go and say, hey, here's kickstart mods. Here's mods for your guns that make your abilities come back faster. Here's different charge armor charge mods that give you all that. And then they go, hey, so when players do what we set out to allow them to do with build crafting, which is combine grenade kickstart with innovation and absolution and demo and fragments from your from your subclass, and then you do the thing you're supposed to do with build crafting. Well, that just gives you too much ability regeneration. When we don't like that, and it's like, huh? Like, what is going on here? Like, you're literally saying, hey, we don't like that you're using the tools that we gave you correctly, so we're gonna punish you for doing the thing that you were supposed to do correctly, and it feels really weird to me.
So, like, there's thing about no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, my thing about all of it was like there is definitely a point in time, like years ago, like when mods were still like had energy. Well, they still have energy costs and stuff like that, but when they were like, it was like when War Mind cells were everything. But like, there's definitely a point in time that was like when I actually started learning about mods, because before that, I did not really care about mods or building too much. I just kind of played however it suited me, and made it do what it do. But I invested the time to like learn how to build, and over the years, just working with my friends and my community and stuff like that, just trying out different things, and especially when loadouts came about, like I was like, oh, this is perfect, because now I don't have to like necessarily like memorize all this stuff. I can just kind of like program every subclass to the way I like to play. And so I feel like there's a lot of us that are like that, where we don't necessarily like min-max, so to speak, but we have the builds that we like to use that kind of fit how we play. And it's fun to play like that, you know what I mean? But all this felt like, yeah, so like I know you having fun like this, but you're having too much fun. So I need you to like dial some of that fun down. But I'm like, what do you mean? Like
this is what you wanted me to do, right? Like, what happened?
Much, people are upset about it. This is exactly what a lot of players have been asking for. With a lot of players being, especially the PvP riots, like legit PvP players are like, the ability spam, it's too much, Bungie. Like, we have our abilities too much, and I gotta contend with all these different buffs and debuffs and a grenade every 5 seconds and all kinds of crazy stuff. And then you get like PvE players who are like, content's just not hard because I got an unlimited amount of like abilities on like cooldown, like for like 0.5 seconds, even though like they're supposed to be a cooldown for like 30 to 45 seconds. Like, supers aren't even that hard to come by anymore. It makes some of that stuff feel
right, but at the same time, I remember I think it was Data who said like a couple of years ago when D2 Vanilla first came out, where he was talking about how it's like back when during that meta, it took you like a minute 20 just to recharge your grenade, and it's like that's not fun either. So it's like you have to find a middle ground while also incentivizing your player base to build craft for it to be fun, and like. I feel as if, but rather than create harder and difficult and staggered content for the player base and incentivizing the player base to play the harder content, i.e. loot, Bungie just went, hey, yo, we're just gonna like kick all of you guys in the nuts repeatedly for no reason and break your builds apart rather than give you challenging content to compete with that power creep. It feels very weird because now we're gonna have a situation, especially because we know a well nerf is coming, we're gonna have a situation now where survivability and high-end content is going to be next to impossible for some players because you're taking away different mechanics and whatnot. So
isn't that what we wanted though?
And well,
I wouldn't say
so,
next to impossible because like you still want to have some survivability because like you can only get one shot by like so many vandals so many times. Like there needs to be some like ability to survive on your own merit when it comes to build crafting. If there's no way to survive on your own merit, then it's like what are we doing, if that makes sense?
So that does make sense. I think what bothers me about all of it is that, and I tweeted this out, is that I could swallow these changes, right? And I think there is a bit of we do have to kind of wait and see how it does feel when it all goes live in game, right?
Right.
But it would definitely be less of a bitter pill if I felt like the people or the core part of the player base that these changes are really for, which, you know, being the community that either prefers hardcore content or the side of the PvP community that hates abilities, basically. I feel like those types of players never really appreciate anything. Like any time a change gets made that you would think would benefit their experience, there's always like, oh well, I didn't want this, or well, now this needs to change too. Like you know, it's like when Div got nerfed, then it was like, okay, well now we need to do something about well, and it was like, what the fuck do you mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like I like those types of players who always find a problem at that point. It's like, why am I being punished because you can wipe your ass with the game? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I was having this conversation with a friend the other night, and because they asked my opinions about the freaking, you know, these nerfs through the survivability.
Like we haven't even
nerfs.
dug into this. Like, yeah, that's the funny part. We're having that's the pre-talk.
Right, and we can start going through this. So basically, besides adjusting the freaking recharge times on some of the grenades based upon their damage. So basically more high power damage grenades, they should be taking longer to come back versus weaker grenades. And so they're making adjustments to some of the freaking some of the perks that grant recharge, right?
Right.
And then we've got the rest. We got Wolf and Mail dropping down from 55 damage resistance to 45. So it's a 10% nerf.
That's
nothing
not bad.
over. Yeah, nothing overly
bad.
Right. But then we got Resto and Cure. Okay, so basically the values are dropping down. In the case of Resto times 1, it's like half. Or sorry, no, only dropping down for PvE.
Half in PvP.
5 heals per second. Because the old was 40 heals per second. The new is 35.
Right.
So it's a small, minor adjustment. Resto times 2, you're going from 65 to 50. So that the times 2 is a little bit harder of a hit, but overall, nothing severely damaging.
Right.
You know? So
and then you have Devour, which is they're like, hey, for anybody who isn't a warlock, Devour is only going to give you 100 HP versus what Devour already does, where it gives you like HP plus shield. And I'm like, why are we like? So like, here's my thought process with it, because it feels weird because Bungie did all this work to make every like subclass verb and different mechanic accessible to every class, like i.e. prior to Void 3.0, hunters and warlocks didn't have access to volatility. It was only a Titan thing because of Code of the Shield Bearer, and it was like, that's cool. That's only for Titan, but now we're gonna mix it amongst everyone. Same with Warlock and Devour. They mixed Warlock and Devour with everybody, but now they're like, hey, we're gonna walk that back a little bit and make Devour still be sort of Warlock based by giving Feed the Void more access to Devour. And it's like, why are we like taking away from the let's all share the pie concept? It feels a little weird to me.
Yep. So the way I look at it is each class is supposed to be a master of one thing over the rest of the classes, but everybody shares in the thing, right? Like, so if you look at invisibility, right? Hunters are the penultimate invis king, right? Everybody can go invis, but hunters excel at it, right? And
Right.
when you look at volatile, outside of Grafalcon, Titans excel in volatility,
Right.
whereas everybody else just kind of dabbles in it. And the same thing for Devour and Warlocks. But because Devour was so accessible due to all you got to do is pick up an orb of power. And how hard is that? You know, you get orbs of power like every 2 seconds.
Right.
So it really didn't feel like Devour was a Warlock identity. It's more just like Devour was a void thing. So I understand them making it feel more like it's the like Warlock like verb, but same time different token. It just feels like a cheap change. Like nobody was asking for that.
Exactly.
Or,
It feels a little weird.
Right.
And we'll come back to the topic of the restoration portion of it in a second when we get to the Bonk issue and the Banner of War issue. But let's talk about the PvP slight that just kind of happened here, where they said, "Hey, yo, so we know y'all came up with using like shotguns into your shoulder charges to combat the shoulder charge nerf."
Well, it was okay.
We
so
don't,
it was
like that. So
yeah,
we're gonna nerf that, and it's like,
so first off, it was they were sprinting to get it at that activation, sliding, and then if they slide at the right time, like they come around a corner, you can shoot, and then you're still within the animation time frame to activate your shoulder charge. So it'd be like a split second for most people. All you would see is the shoulder charge. You would not see you getting hit by the shotgun as well.
But see, my thing about that is though, why? And like this is one of the few times that I'll even like come in the realm of like tech as a word, as a game phrase. Why like de-incentivize people from learning movement like movement tech or different things of that nature, which sounds hypocritical as fuck for me because I say we need to remove well skating and shadow skating from the game. But in terms of like in terms of like PvP, good use of your tools and good use of what you're doing, you're basically saying like it's similar to the loadout the loadout like pause cancellation thing they did, where it's like you're de-incentivizing people from using the tools that you put into the game. And also, what still bugged me ever since they nerfed shoulder charge back during update 3.4.0 was you have things like lightning surge in the game for warlocks. You have things like if you're competent enough to hit your shots, you can one-shot people with throwing knives, or you can combine your proximity knife with a trip mine and one shot somebody. Why would you take away these shoulder charges? Because all they've done since nerfing shoulder charge is nerf it even more, because now they're like, hey, you can't one shot with it. Now it's, hey, you can't even use it as a movement tech because it's too fast. So we're gonna make it so you don't get your full melee back if you use it as a movement tech or if you miss your shot. And it's like, that's a little much too. And now it's like, oh, now we're gonna nerf it even more. and say you can't even do it like this cool little tech you came up with. Granted, they did it across the board to every class because they did it to lightning surge and tempest strike. But when you see the list of different perks where it's seismic strike, shield bash, hammer strike, howl of storm, consecration, and fletch of storm, it feels worse for Titans versus everybody else. And it's very much like you're de-incentivizing players from trying to actually play the game. Because truth be told, other than wearing Paragon Greaves or in occasion Synthoceps, what's the point of our melees as Titans right now? Nothing. You're literally saying you don't want your player base to use their melees in this class because you made them to be this tank, this powerful class. And people complained about it, so now they're like, cool, your melee does next to nothing now, unless you build into it, i.e. wear an exotic. And it's like, because truth be told, the amount of times that I've tried to shield bash or hammer strike somebody, A, you don't do enough damage, and B, you're trapped in the animations as you do the attack, so you're not 9 times out of 10 being killed by the enemy player as they're bouncing back from the attack. So it de-incentivizes you from even using the melee. So it's like, what's the point of this ability if there's no reason to use it? You know what I mean? Like, it almost feels like unless you put a whole clip of bullets into somebody before you hit them, what's the point of this ability versus like warlocks and hunters can use their melees for God knows what. Titans are being put into the dirt for no reason when it comes to like Bernie Art just put in the Discord, or like in the Twitch chat, taking the strike out of Striker Titan. Like, it really doesn't feel like Titans are allowed to do what's supposed to be in their kit, if that makes sense.
Ooh.
I've
one thing to say, and that is,
okay, Diva.
How does it feel to be a hunter?
What you mean? What you mean?
No lies detected. No lies fucking detected right there. I'm going to say that.
People complain about something that's truthfully not a problem. It's just something that they get tired of dealing with. So instead of learning how to make it not happen, they just call Bungie to nerf it. Give
me an example that's not Stompies.
Shadow Dive.
Shadow Dive. Everyone admitted everybody admitted that Shadow Dive being able to take out a whole team of motherfuckers was too much. But what was so funny about Shadow Dive is everybody and their mama complained about Shadow Dive, but in 3.4.0, when Shadow Dive was still killing people for another good like 3-4 months, they took away the one-shot capability from Shoulder Charge. So Titans didn't even have a way to combat Shadow Dive. So Shadow Dive kept going all through 30th anniversary and causing problems.
All the exotics. Falcon. God dang. Stompies. We don't count Stompies because you said don't count it.
Yeah, don't.
Hold on. And here's a recent one. Young Harmgar Spine.
But we talked about that because there's almost no way to counter somebody throwing a proximity knife and a trip mine at you. And if you have 100 discipline and have
you don't like, fucking walk into it is what you do.
But if you don't even see it, my guy, like we've talked about this.
Dragon Shadow.
There's half the fucking shit in this game that you don't see freaking coming. Right. It can freaking one-shot you.
There's so many times like where you even put down, like you hunger down and put a barricade somewhere and they go trip mine. Okay, cool. You're at 1 health. You can't go nowhere. You can't retreat. Bro, don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that.
Look, I'm telling you, as a person who goes into like Crucible every now and again, used to go to Crucible every now and again, I throw my trip mines and them motherfuckers go out in the space somewhere.
Bro, the amount of times that I would play trials, and I would be running and gunning, doing my thing, even with back. Ferrum, don't you do it. Ferrum, you're next week's guest. Don't you do it. I see you trying to hop in the podcast waiting room. Just because you're a mod now doesn't mean you to come in now. You're next week's guest. I see you trying to come in the Discord. But
here's what I am going to say about this freaking sprint slide melee. Okay,
go ahead. We need to move on.
Because freaking, to quote Bungie right here. Okay, the reason why they made the change to the freaking the one-shot abilities as far as the melee was because they were trying to achieve a game balance. Okay, they didn't want to give one class all the freaking one-shots with their melees and the other two didn't have it, right? So I can kind of see where that's upsetting to Titan mains. But from a freaking sandbox, it's a bit of a balance. Okay,
it makes sense from a balance standpoint, but the lack of balance when it comes to knives,
my viewpoint,
when it comes to lightning surge, it's like the balance ain't there.
My viewpoint is that if you have to charge your freaking your melee, meaning you've got to go sprinting to activate it. To me, those should be a one shot.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
So there's a requirement that's going to require a little bit more skill and planning in order to achieve the full effect. That should be a one shot. That's just my viewpoint on that. But
and here's the thing about that:
as far as the sprint and slide, the fact that Bungie is freaking nipping that in the bud, absolutely. That's just as far as like the freaking the melee lunge bit.
That's it's a netcode thing too. Yeah, you're right.
Right, exactly. It's like the less things that Bungie has to freaking deal with as far as the netcode, it's going to be a better sandbox overall. Yes, right. I get it. Okay, this is the same freaking argument that other skilled players have had about freaking Call of Duty with slide canceling and all types of freaking movement-based. I'm going to call it exploits. That's because it's essentially what it is. Because they said it right there. Players are currently able to circumvent this change by sliding, firing their gun, is still able to initiate a shoulder charge. That was not intended.
Yeah.
And Bungie is finally saying, you know what? This has gone on long enough. We let it slide.
Cool. When we're getting rid of Shadowskate, and then when we getting rid of Shadowskate and Wellskate, then.
Hey, look. If everybody wants to bash Salta Greppo for freaking wanting well nerfed, then fuck it. Fine, come after me. Hey, Bungie. Shut down well skating.
I've been saying it for months that Shadow Skate and Well Skate needed to leave because they're mechanics that circumvent what the game is supposed to do. Like speedrunners can fight me, but to anybody who's listening to this, in terms of what Cajun said about the having to charge your melee, that's what I said about shoulder charge prior to them nerfing it in regards to taking away the melee cost of it. You have to run for at least 2 to 3 seconds to trigger it. And then they'll say, oh, well, people can just run into walls. Hey, you know what other ability that Bungie put in the game that also takes away your class ability that they were able to make it so like running into a wall doesn't give it to you? Juggernaut. If they could figure out how to make Juggernaut not give you Juggernaut by running into a wall, they could do the same thing for shoulder charge. They just didn't want to fucking do it. And they could have easily fixed the issue. They just didn't want to do it. Anyway,
no lies detected.
Let's scroll down here. So let's talk about hammers and banners, as I like to say.
Hammers and banners. Let's go.
Can I start this off? Please?
Yeah, but I get to rant after you explain.
Oh yeah. So first and foremost, I'm gonna give props to Bungie on this. They could have kicked Banner of War in the dick and put it to the dirt. They could have kicked freaking Syntheseps in the dick and put it into the dirt. They could have did the same thing to Bonk Hammer. They didn't. They did slight attunements and nerfs. Yes. Titan Mage, you have a reason to feel upset about this. Okay, but overall, the adjustment to Banner of War, it's a good one. It just requires more kills to activate, but they adjusted it on the back end as far as the kills will give you a longer duration, but it requires more kills to get the full stacks.
Right.
Good call.
I'm okay with that.
That is freaking perfect, okay? Wolf and Mail, good adjustment. Love it. Throwing Hammer. You're going to have to wait 1.4 seconds to get your melee back after you retrieve your hammer. 1.4 seconds. Literally take a second. Your hammer's back. Seriously, in that amount of time. Okay? It just means you can't spam it. All right? But they increased the projectile tracking string. Thank God!
Okay, so let's have a conversation real quick. So originally, I made a TikTok about this where I was laughing my ass off because I felt like Negro Damas for a minute, where I had I had warned everybody for so long that I had warned Clyde, I had warned Cross, I had warned everybody that this was gonna happen if you didn't stop abusing this fucking hammer. Even back when they were using 1-2 punch shotguns to one-shot Atheon, I told these motherfuckers that this shit was gonna happen. And look what happened. That now we have next to nothing as Titans to use an endgame content. You abused it for so long, and now Bungie's like, and the thing about it is, like Cage is kind of trivializing like the wait 1 second, because the reason why Bungie did this is because people would sit there and go whoom, 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 over and over and over again to a boss and then kill the boss. But the thing about it is Bungie didn't just do this. They said, we're giving you a 1 second cooldown on this. We're nerfing Synthoceps. We're nerfing Sunspots. We're nerfing we're nerfing Restoration. And it's like, man, you cut this build off at the knees. You said you're not going nowhere. I'm taking everything from you and your lunch money. Like, you really said everything's coming off this build.
All
and
right.
It's like, man.
So first off, when it comes to the Synthoceps nerf, okay, that affected 2 builds or 2 freaking subclasses right off the rip.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I got no problems with that. Okay. What they did, but also look at what they did on the back end. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say this was more of a buff to Synthoceps than a full on nerf. Okay.
True. In the long run. True.
They did remove the extended melee distance lunge. Okay. That was part of a netcode issue. I can agree with that. Improved weapon handling and reload speed when surrounded. I'm fucking game. Quicker shotgun reloads. Reduce PvE surrounded damage from 200% to 165. It's still high up there. So we're going to see it slightly. We're going to feel a little bit. But remember, it's still stacking with everything else, including 1-2 punch shotgun.
And they did increase glaive melee bonus from 50% to 100%, which is dope. But here's
glaives
the thing.
on the table, boys.
Glaives are back. Glaives are back. Except
stop it. They're not back.
But let's sit here and have a conversation because everyone doesn't want to listen to me about this. Like, Solar Titans have next to nothing because I had said it for a long time. Bungie like was afraid to do anything with Solar 3.0 for Titans because of Bonk Hammer. And look what happened. You saw Hammer Strike's debuff go away. You saw Sun Warrior go away because of the panic behind Lorelei. You saw just Sun Warrior original ability to generate more sunspots go away, and they brought it back and gave it to Hallowfire Heart, but no one's gonna use Hallowfire Heart because Hoyle is better. And then you look at and then you look at Tempered Metal, which gave you better handling and reload speed for for being in using solar weapons and whatnot, which was dope. But they started turning that into a fragment for everybody now. But it's like, other than healing and sunspots that do a little bit of damage to combatants, Titans don't really have anything in terms of a build for solar anymore. Like, hunters, they can throw a whole stick of dynamite at a motherfucker. Like, warlocks, they have fucking magic hands everywhere, like they're an anime character. And it's like, Titans don't really have anything from a solar aspect. Then you look at Void. Other than Ursa Furiosa right now, Titans don't have anything in terms of a endgame build for Void. And I even tried to run it last night at GM. Second chance, it's debatable in terms of how many anti-barrier champions are in your GM. So that's what.
Hold on. No. Freaking, I ran through a freaking GM with second chance earlier today, and I'm gonna tell you right now, if you're running that shit with Monte Carlo, you're getting your freaking melee back freaking quick. So you've got weakening, you're causing volatility. Okay, you're causing mass freaking void bullshit, and it's freaking glorious. Devour like nobody's freaking business.
But look at this GM.
Freaking looking for freaking. Yeah, I did it on Mars. I did it on Mars Battleground.
Well, no, it's Moon this week. It's Moon this week. And with Moon
Battleground, you know what I meant.
Yeah, I know. But once you go in the bunker, you don't have any more anti-barriers the rest of the GM. So you're rendered half of your builds gone, other than the weekend and the volatility. There's no more anti-barriers the rest of the GM.
Okay, that's one part of the freaking intrinsic of the freaking exotic. The fact that I've got 2 shields, I'm using Monte Carlo, I'm tacking onto it, and I'm causing void freaking damage for days, dude.
Fair enough.
And I'm weakening, which means that you're doing increased damage to the freaking mobs or boss.
Okay, so fair enough.
Pair that with freaking Ward of Dawn.
So, okay, I'll run that later tonight. We'll holler at it. But in terms of like next season, anti-barrier auto rifle's going away. We'll have overload auto rifle, but like you won't be able to, you'll lose like that little bit of extra money access in terms of later content. But we'll want to examine that to see what happens. But so other than Ursa and Second Chance, debatably, you don't really have a void build. Arc is so grenade dependent, and without Curious of the Falling Star, your super ain't doing shit. They added blinding to Fists of Havoc, but Fists of Havoc doesn't do substantial damage to anything in a GM that it doesn't matter. So you're sitting there like bullshitting with a Hoyle or Armamentarium throwing grenades. It's so nade dependent that you don't really get anything to, like in terms of like a dynamic build. And Stasis is kind of getting a buff, but it doesn't like until they add the more verbs like Frost Armor, it's out of the window of knowing what it'll do. And Strand, they keep kneecapping Strand. Ambient Leap was really good. They busted up. They lowered suspension. Now they're hitting Banner of War, and Banner of War will still be kind of good, but it's like they keep hitting these different builds that Titans try to use, and it's like I forget who said it on Twitter, but it feels like these different builds are being kneecapped at the legs because of like the 1% of the player base that finds busted ways to do shit, i.e. 3 manning Riven with 3 Banner of War Titans and shit like that. It feels like the outliers. So like similar to how with Trials, we saw Arc Titan dominate for so long, while Void Titan, Solar Titan, Stasis Titan, and Strand Titan have next to no builds outside of neutral game exotics like Peacekeepers, Antaeus, Synthoceps, and Paragon. Like other than those like neutral game exotics, they have next to no build potential in Trials because of how dominant Arc was. Then they nerf Arc, and it's like, no, now we gotta run Bubble because of Dominion, and it's like, even then, Void as a subclass isn't that great in Trials. So people are looking at Titans like we're busted as hell, even though we're not. And it's like these couple outliers that people are abusing make Titans look as if we're super busted when we're not. Our melees don't do shit. Our abilities don't do shit half the time. And now they're like taking more and more away from these builds. What's Solar Titan gonna do next season? Not a damn thing other than Pyro Gale for boss damage.
So bad. I'm about to say this to you, Panda. I really do.
Man.
I'm so sorry. I didn't want to have to do this to you, man. But you sound like me, like for the past 2 years, complaining about how hunters are disrespected by Bungie and left behind for those exact same reasons.
You had your zombies, you were fine.
Outside of a specific subsect of like exotics and very niche exotics.
Mm-hmm.
Like the hunter gameplay outside of that is basically what weapon you want to use. Go get its exotic and put it on.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what you got. Like our solar like subclass is devoid of any meaning. Like outside of spine.
He ain't lying. He ain't freaking lying.
You're not wrong. I'll give you that. Your solar shit.
At best right now for Hunter, Lucky Pants, and freaking Foe Tracer. And those are not solar specific freaking exotics. Those are omni exotics.
Right. And other than that,
if those exotics were to become a problem in PvP, I swear to God, they'd be nerfed them all.
Oh yeah,
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, so Panda, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with all of this. Really, think what happens is you have a lot of outlier situations, and unfortunately, like those outlier situations often tends to also be the people that spend so much time on the game that they're hyper min-maxing, have like all the criticism in the world, like have whole entire dissertations of why this piece of armor is broken, or this stat, this weapon perk, the way this fucking orb generation happens, shit like is too broke because they just spend so much time in the game doing these things and stuff. And I don't think Bungie realizes that like the larger portion of the player base just we don't play the game like that, yo. Like we're not, and not a lot of people want to play the game like that. I mean, kudos to people that really aspire to that and can do that. And if it's fun for them, more power to them. But that's not the average player experience. I also don't think that's the average player desire and stuff. Like, I just think that like most of us just hop on to play. We jump in the content that we want to jump in, whether that's PvP or PvE and stuff like that. And I'm not, I don't want to like go 3-man Crota. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I don't get home and just be like, yo, like I can't wait to run a trio on Crota and he's gonna catch his fade real quick. You know what I mean? Like that's just not like my thought process when I get on the game and stuff. You know what I mean? But I think unfortunately, because a lot of the people with the loudest criticisms also happen to be people with those outlier type experiences, people get confused and think, oh, this is the voices that we need to listen to because they have these super informed opinions, not really realizing that they're gaining these super informed opinions because they're essentially no-lifing the game, playing at a level that most of us can probably only really hope to get. You know what I mean? I saw people when, commentary about these changes was coming out, even people coming from me and stuff like that, they're like, oh, so you think skill is just holding the melee button or all that? I was like, dog, who cares about skill, y'all? I'm here to shoot aliens. Like, what the fuck? Like,
honestly,
I don't care. Like,
you just brought a big like dynamic that I've talked about in the podcast before, which is like people who look at like a random build that a YouTuber puts up, like they'll see charged up, stacks on stacks, run these couple of specific exotics and mods, run in there, they do all this crazy damage, but then they run that stuff themselves. One shot, they're dead. One shot, they're dead. And they're like, what am I doing wrong? The streamer told me to run this. And it's like, because the mods weren't for you, big homie. Like the mod, no one told you to run a charged up mod instead of an arc resistance mod. No one told you to run like stacks on stacks instead of a surge mod. Like you chose to do that because you saw a streamer do that. You didn't use what was meant to be for your play style. You chose to try to adopt this play style when you weren't ready for it, and it bit you in the ass. And that's what happens a lot of time where people like trying to like co-opt these builds from different streamers, and they're trying to like say this is busted, so I'm gonna run it, and then everybody runs until the usage rate goes up, and it's a whole other dynamic of stupid.
So I'm gonna respond to that bit right there.
Ooh,
this is a problem with, and I don't casual player base. I'm not attacking you, but this is more of a call out. Just going to a YouTube video, watching a couple seconds, not looking at what the person is doing, playing that build, how they're playing that build, how they're utilizing it, the feedback loop of the gameplay, and all you're doing is going and clicking the dim link to grab the build. That's a problem.
This ain't Yu-Gi-Oh! You can't be net decking. That's not how this works.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Every build usually has two things: a synergy between an exotic armor, an exotic weapon, or a weapon type. And then on top of that, there's a loop. Okay, so usually you're doing one thing to get another, to achieve another, rinse and repeat. If you're not achieving that, you're not doing it effectively. You're not achieving the build's optimization. And if you're not doing that, if you keep freaking having to be revived, well, that's on you.
I think that's the other part of it too. And I think that that's where kind of the give and take between like a streamer or content creator versus like the viewer have to really kind of understand that the most important part of those types of videos and that type of content is making sure people understand how it works. Like you said, like a lot of builds and stuff like that really rely on synergy between, two or more different things, but it's really important. Like usually when my friends try to suggest builds to me, I'm like, explain how it works to me. Right. That way I know how to play with it. You know what I mean? And that's even my general approach when I am making that type of content. I always like say like the important thing is understanding how all of this works so you know what you need to be doing, as opposed to just jumping out there. Like you said, jumping out there, oh, I did all this stuff. Why isn't it working? Because there's a way you have to play with it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And you have to understand how all these moving parts work.
See, I will
agree with that. I think that it's another big problem with content creators and the 24-hour news cycle that Destiny has.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as content comes out, like the very same day, it's here's the best in slot weapons and here's the best in slot build. If you're not running this, you're wrong, kind of stuff.
Right.
And it confuses players because a lot of that is just for the clicks. Like a lot of the content, a lot of people saying like, "Oh yeah, this is the new God role." Like hell, I know Panda knows. He gives me said all the time. Like when a new GM comes out and a new a weapon comes out, it's like, "Oh yeah, man, we gotta get the God role of this because this is gonna be meta next season." I'm like, stop saying that. You don't know that.
Hey man, the only time I've ever been wrong was Wendigo. Wendigo was the only time I've ever been wrong. Rockets were meta when I called it. Rockets were meta. Like linears were meta. The only time I've ever been wrong was grenade launchers. That was a failure on Bungie. Bungie not buff them correctly, and Bungie has admitted plunder was a mistake, and they're trying to up it again. But that was the only time I was ever wrong. Do I regret my 37 runs award and nothing? No, because that grenade launcher is sitting there waiting for when it's meta, and it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Now. In terms of the upcoming well nerf, I'm gonna give it a buck. It's gonna affect final shape and it's gonna be a bitch. But until we see what it looks like, I'm gonna hold reservation until then because we don't know how painful it's gonna be. I know it's gonna piss off like a lot of the casual player base that relies on well to get content done. But until we see what it looks like, I'm not gonna pass judgment. Is that fair?
I think that's fair. I think what we might end up seeing is, and honestly, it depends on a lot of ad density too for these things to work. I mean, I think that we might just see kind of another rise of orb generating perks. A lot of like ad control supers and orb generating supers and stuff like resident hunter high priest, right? Like I definitely enjoy when I'm able to kind of utilize tether in game because it hasn't really been as effective in game. I think the most effective I've found it is I've been using it a lot in ghosts during the Ektar fight, but tether's definitely not as prevalent in game. So I think that with that cooldown being increased, then it'll definitely be the onus will definitely be more on the other fire team members to provide orbs for the warlock or warlocks, however many warlocks they got, because it also depends on like how many wells might you need and how many other slots on the team can you give to classes that can generate those orbs for the warlocks that'll need them. So.
And I'll be honest. Bungie, whatever their nerf is gonna, their final nerf to well is gonna be, and I'm gonna say even Ward of Dawn. They're really gonna have to say this. They're gonna
get buffed. Bubble's gonna get buffed. I'm gonna tell you this right now. I feel like Bubble's gonna get buffed, and people are gonna be pissed off, like genuinely, because you're gonna see Bubble come back with a vengeance because they want to stop people from using well and give Titans something to do because Titans have gotten hindered so much. I feel like Bubble's gonna catch a PvE specific buff.
So first and foremost, what I was gonna say is concerning well. Bungie really needs to be careful on how they do this because when you look at some of these fights, especially right now with Crota, I mean, shit, you need at least 2 wells at a minimum. Okay, now granted, another way to circumvent that, Boy Titans,
Bubbles.
no shit, because guess what? I haven't seen him destroy a bubble yet.
Nope, he can't do it. It's fun. It's a fun time. Bubble, barricades can block his little his final stand AoE too. I found that out the other day. So bubbles are a fun time. Bubbles are great.
Yeah.
So let's also not forget with Final Shape, we're getting that Twilight arsenal super too.
Yeah, gravity stuff. Yeah, that'll be fun.
And that's going to be something that the whole team can participate in. So
access for days,
that's going to be interesting.
It's going to be a bit of a hot take.
Okay, hot take. Okay.
And like,
I'm gonna let Demons go drop his hot take, then we're gonna move on. So like, make it good.
So it's a bit of a hot take, right? Like right now in the game, like Warlocks have slipped by from a lot of bullshit. Like if you look at the Warlock subclass or like class in general, there is no other class in the game that has more build diversity and like utility on like every like subclass. It's never a bad time to have any kind of Warlock on your team, whether that's a Well-Lock or a fucking Nova Lock, Strand Lock, no matter what it is. Warlocks are never in a bad position.
That's for a radius arc lock, like just destroying everything. Like
the
straight up lock right now is nasty.
Hell, freaking Esoteric just did freaking solo Ghost of the Deep flawless with Vesper Radius.
Oh shit!
Legit, get the fuck out of here, really?
The thing that kept Warlock underneath the radar is like they've been power crept to a point of like unreasonability. Like no other class can do what they do, but because Warlocks are generally forced to wail and not really run the builds in the like subclass that they really want to, a lot of the shit that they have has gone unnoticed and unchecked. And when Bungie gets rid of that fucking whale,
it's gonna be all hands on deck.
Open the fucking floodgates.
So we will definitely have to see how that goes. All right, I'm about to rapid fire these stasis things real quick. So, stat changes for stasis fragments. What the fuck? Why are we doing it? I don't know why. Like it's like I get we're trying to balance shit, but stasis was the one subclass that actually gave you more benefits than the penalties. What the fuck, Bungie? I don't know why. Is what it is. Withering Blade, Hunters, you got some more blades. They have some better tracking. Good for you. Like, do something with it. I don't know. Your Winter Shrouds doing more shit. Don't let your dance machines go out of control like you did last time. Titans, Shiver Strike. It's back on the menu, boys. I'm a little sad because we can't just like one-shot people in the walls anymore, but it's fine. Glacial Quake can freeze bitches again. We love that. We're back to good stuff. We love that. Howl the Storm has a greater crystal radius for freezing. We love that. Warlocks all got buffs in terms of their stasis shit. So they're gonna be even more of a menace than they already were. Crazy. I know. Cold Snap grenades and Glacier grenades are getting buffed. Freeze increased special ammo damage bonus from 5% to 10%. Like stasis is looking good, and they're gonna be rolling out even more changes as stuff goes on. Like they're gonna be adding things like frost armor and stuff like that later on. They're gonna be adding additional behavior to harvest aspects and stuff like that. They're gonna be reworking some fragments. So we're definitely gonna see more stuff evolve over time. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Overall, I give this like a B+ in terms of like developments. I think Warlock got a little too much, but like otherwise we're doing all right.
Now they did state that there was a few items that they didn't mention in the TWID that's going to be in the patch notes. So to me right there, it's like, why are we still this late and you haven't finalized shit to where you can't share that? To me, honestly, it's like you should be giving us the whole
that sounds like
the whole dinner situation of what Stasis is going to be bringing, and it's like.
That sounds like a Cannon Brace situation where like they ain't ready, like they don't know if it's under control yet. Like how they had a nerf Cannon Brace during Season of the Plunder where like it rolled out disabled, even though you could fucking go get it from a lost sector, it came out disabled. I feel like they're not ready to roll that.
Was freaking disabled like what, freaking less than a couple of days after it launched.
Yeah, I feel like this is one of those situations where like they're not done cooking, but they're gonna have to roll it out of the oven half baked, and they're gonna have to do something with it, like disable it. I feel like that's going to be a problem.
So I feel like if you really kind of go back and look at the last couple of launches and everything with that, there's always something that like is like a last minute update that's like in the patch notes. Like they weren't able to like completely finalize the details by like the week before, but like it makes its way into the patch notes on launch day. So I'm always like cautiously optimistic when it comes to stuff. I'm looking forward to next season though.
Fair enough. All right, let's talk about some exotics. So I'm gonna skip to a specific one just to make Diva happy. So yo Triton Vice, yo Crab Claws going from 30% to 100%. How you feeling, big homie? How you feel about your glaive meta?
If you could see the look of just disappointment on my face.
What?
Aren't you excited about your glaive meta? Your glaive meta's here, big homie. What happened?
It's not going to be a glaive meta. And you know it's not going to be a glaive meta. Why are you lying?
Dude, no.
It's
Seriously.
Slightly more useful, but
you were so excited when this came out and you were so disappointed. Why aren't you excited now? Like, what happened?
Considering that glaives are about to be reworked.
Yeah.
That's coming in season 23. And Triton Vice is getting a buff like that.
Like it's gonna be like Synthoceps level tough. Aren't you excited? What happened to your excitement, big homie?
I just gotta, stand in between like 3 to 4 other people just to get that buff.
Yeah.
Not too much.
Yeah, you're surrounded.
But
not too much.
The exotic perk in and of itself ensures that I'll never do that.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the real thing that Diva's about to have a fit about. Stompies, kids. Let's talk about some stompies.
Oh my dear!
If this wasn't the freaking quickest backpedal from Bungie that I've ever fucking saw, it's like, what the hell?
See, here's my issue with this. So they're removing the requirement to give back to have full class ability to benefit from the movement bonus, and they're reducing the airborne lateral acceleration bonus, which I find interesting. But they're giving you damage resistant from a combatants while airborne. So this feels more like a buff to Stompies and Stompy users than like just a return to the status quo. Like then they went, hey yo, we're nerfing you. Hey yo, we're nerfing you a different way. Hey yo, we're gonna fix it and we're gonna buff you. And it's like, huh? Because here's the thing. I agree with everybody that like having your class ability taken away for like to make Stompies do a thing was too much. Which, hey, if we're fixing Stompies, can we put Antaeus wards back? But like in terms of like the please, but like in terms of the general situation here, it's like I was content with the AE nerf. The AE nerf was fine. I was content with that because it meant that you had to build into using your your kit rather than having to be fully hindered. Versus with the class ability nerf, it felt like you were like punishing people rather than making them build into it. Here, it feels like you just walked back everything just because people bitched for a whole season about it. And it's like, why didn't you just go back to the AE penalty? Because the AE penalty was fine. Like, I don't understand. It just feels weird. And you're going to have so many casual players in a minute who are bitching and moaning about how they can't counter Stompies again. And it's going to be like, we're back to square one of why you created AE in the first place. Of like, hunters only use Stompies, so like, what we gonna do? And it's going to be a whole fucking thing again. And it's like, we're back to square motherfucking one.
So I have a bit of a counterpoint to that.
Okay, speak on it.
And this is in no way in support of this depravity, this debauchery. All right. So here's my take on it. Right? They never left square one. The hunters never got anything worth taking off their Stompies for. So they just learned to deal with it. And at this point, it's like, well, why even bother with it? If y'all ain't gonna take it off, we might as well just fix it. So y'all stop complaining. But look here, Bungie. Let's have a conversation. Step into my office real quick. Step into my office. Like
he said, step into his office.
Like if you're gonna make a decision, stand by it. Stand by that decision. It's the right decision or the wrong decision. Stand by the fact that you made it. Because this back and forth, this will they, won't they, this Vampire Diaries, Twilight bullshit will not stay. Let it go. Either kill it or let it be.
I was gonna say that nerf lasted what? A season?
If that. Like a season and a half. Like if that. Like, man.
My man said keep the same energy, Bungie.
Like legit, the amount of people that just kept posting like fixed Stompies on fucking Twitter, bruh. It was excessive.
Like,
I gotta keep it a buck, man. My Stompies don't. end up on my legs unless I need to do a jump pedal.
See, the thing about it is that's what Bungie wishes would be the meta. Is that's with like some of the lion rampants. That's the only time your shit is used. But because so many people crutch on it for PvP, people only use it for that avenue. So that's why
bro. That's all they got. Every time we get something, listen, and this is what I was saying earlier. Every time we get something that would get people to take it off, the second that they start using it, people feel like it's being abused, and then they call for the nerfs, and then we're right back here. Like we had renewal graphs. Granted, renewal graph need a little tuning. It was a little
strong out the gate. It was a little overtuned out the gate. Yeah,
but you didn't have to kill it like you did. It like, oh no, I'm not dealing with this. Nope, gone. We had the radiant dance machines, which granted was a little broken, but that just needed a little fix. But they fucking axed its head off for like 4 fucking years. Get out of here.
Yeah, they did.
I mean, I won't lie. They did take it out back like old Yeller and just.
They really did.
Damn.
They really did. They really did. I can't even be mad at them because they did.
Something. Spine. We had Spine for a little while. And we was having fun. People stopped complaining about Stompies and started complaining about Spine so much that everybody went back to Stompies.
The thing about it though is all you had to do to fix Spine was make it so it didn't just automatically give you the whole. But they needed to lessen the energy regain
and only do it in PvP.
That's all you needed. Because making it on kill was too much. Just reducing the amount of energy that it gave you was all you needed to do. Because or decrease the damage. Because proximity knife plus grenade is automatic death. But if they would have just decreased the damage Spine did, would have been fine. I'd have been like fine.
I'm gonna be 100 with you. Like legit. You either have one of two hunters that fall into one of two camps. Either they play a lot of PvP and they are willing to die on a hill in like Fallujah somewhere to get their stompies back, or they don't play a bunch of PvP and their stompies have been somewhere in the aether, like collecting dust, and there is no in between. And no, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say. I mean, every time this type of discussion happens, it just tickles me because, like, I do feel that, but then I also just kind of have to pat, my hunter gang on the back because I feel like this is just what Bungie needs to do to just give the rest of the player base a fraction of our power. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my god!
Oh
my god!
Okay. I'm just saying.
All right, let me rapid fire the rest of these exotics real quick. So Shards of Galanor, they're granting more super energy range from 2.5% to 5%, depending on the type of enemy killed. The problem with both this and the and the Celestial Nighthawk buff is you're still capped at 50%, similar to what they did with Ursa Furiosa. I think Bungie needs to walk back those nerfs to Ursa and Shards of Galanor and Skull of Dire Hamkara, where they actually let you get full energy back if you kill enough enemies. Because it doesn't need to be like, hey yo, you fucking get your whole super back, but you capping it is kind of sucks. Because what if, especially for something like I remember during the meta of GMs, if I'm sitting there in a GM taking as much heat as I do, I should get almost my whole damn super back. God damn it! If I build my kit right, why shouldn't I? So I think they need to walk some of that back. Triton Vice, we already talked about that. Meganeer's Trick Sleeves, the sidearm damage bonus now persists for 5 seconds after your shields begin to recharge, which is kind of cool. Bombardiers now applies 20 slow stacks to any players and 40 slow stacks to PvE combatants when it comes to the stasis part of it, which is kind of cool. Titan Severance Enclosure, they're making the explosions bigger, which it's not going to be meta of any kind, so who cares?
I'm sorry. I look at that and I think of Tchaikovsky. It's like, hey, explosions are a freaking musical instrument, and I'm gonna do it with 21 of them. It's like Bungie. you need to freaking rework that just a little bit more.
Here's what, like, because I remember, what was it during the season we had Volatile Flow? A lot of people were combining Severance Enclosure with Volatile builds. Just make Severance Enclosure a Void Exotic. Make it have intrinsic Volatile or some shit on Explosion or something like that. Make it have a niche instead of being just general explosions like your Michael Bay. Like, do something with it for crying out loud. Peregrine Greaves, they're making it so you now have to be airborne for a brief time. You already had to be airborne for a brief time. What the fuck are you talking about? And they're making it so if you damage champions, tormentors, or mini bosses with a shoulder charge with Peregrine Greaves, it refunds your melee energy. Who the fuck is gonna use Peregrine Greaves in a GM? You're
Hey yo, you'd be surprised, bro.
Man,
there's somebody out there.
If I saw somebody wearing Peregrine Greaves in a GM, I would be questioning their sanity, let alone their concept of reality.
Like, look,
man.
I'm not gonna like kink shame, but I'm just gonna kink ask why. Why?
Hey, listen, I have a friend named Man at Arms that made a whole advertisement about Peregrine Greaves a
rest
couple
in
of
peace,
years
Man
ago.
of Arms.
Oh my God, man.
All right, that's crazy. But okay, so it looks like they're trying to rework Worm God Caress again because they felt bad they nerfed it into the ground, or they're making it so it has a meter now rather than just being a general buff. And I think that'll actually make it do something rather than just being a speedrunner's wet dream. And I'm excited to test that out and see what it does. So we'll to play around with that and actually see what benefits it could be in endgame content. Now, here's a change that I'm actually kind of excited about, kids. Ashen Wake is going to have the ability to make your fusion grenades like stun unstoppable champions.
There you go.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun.
Good job, Bungie. Making an exotic relevant in endgame content for once. Legitimately, like I can't remember the last time Ashen Wake did a thing was when you had the grenade damage meta when Atheon first came back. Other than that, like because you use salvage or salvo with Ashen Wake to do big damage. Other than that, we ain't seen Ashen Wake do a thing in I don't know how long. So like this, plus all the artifact mods for next season, you about to see me with some big ass shoulder pads running around GMs like a crackhead. I'm gonna tell you that right now, man. It's gonna be great.
Yeah,
I'm just excited to see all the Tom Brady builds of people throwing touchdown passes.
Yes,
I'm excited.
Oh my God,
you about to
Tom Brady builds.
We already talked about Synthos Steps annoys me. We're not gonna worry about that. Precious Scars. I made a build about this already when it comes to the Soul River for next season, where they're making it so kills with weapons matching your subclass now apply Restoration Tier 1 for 1.5 seconds of PvE and 3 seconds of PvE. They didn't say it has a cooldown, and they didn't say like if not, you can't refresh it. So if I'm sitting there with a solar auto rifle going to town in a raid with Precious Scars on, and I'm popping barricades to give people restoration, and I'm rezzing people to give people bonuses off that too. Like, Precious Scars might be meta for GMs and raids here in a minute, y'all. I'm telling you right now, like this might be kind of goated.
And honestly, after seeing that, I was like, which one of the devs at Bungie snorted a crisp line off the grundle of Satan's ass crack after all the freaking nerfs of Cure and Resto, decided to make freaking Precious Scars do that? It's
like you nerf Cure and Resto so much only to give because here's the thing, Precious Scars has been fighting to be relevant ever since it came out in Beyond Light, and now they're like, hey, now you can do a thing like after you already kind of were already doing a thing, and I'm like, okay, I fucks with it. So Balladors, they're making it so now when you cast a Frost Pulse Rift, the nearby enemy allies gain Tier 2 Stasis Surge weapon bonus for 10 seconds. That's kind of cool. It gives you a reason to use Balladors besides your super. I love that. Apotheosis Veil, they're making it so casting your super now grants Cure, which goes back to what we just said about Precious Scars, with you could do all these nerfs only to give relevance to something else. Very weird. They're also making it so after your super ends, you get temporary again greatly increased melee and grenade regen, which I like. They're trying to make Apotheosis Veil relevant after it not been relevant for years on end. So good job, Bungie. You're trying. They're moving the size of the weakening the weakening burst and the duration of Fellwinter's helm one tier against all targets except for finishers against bosses, which is kind of cool. Karnsteins are granting cure tier 3 and restoration tier 1 for 8 seconds on melee kills and finishers. So, like, again, we're adding cure and restoration to things after nerfing cure and restoration? What?
Not only that, they really thought in the grand scheme of things, melee kills for warlocks. It's like, unless you're doing finger snaps, you're up close and you get that freaking ignition. Good fucking luck.
Yeah.
I don't know. Celestial Fire do be popping.
Yeah, every once in a while, yeah. So it like, and then like the next section talks about the armor mod changes and whatnot, and it kind of like goes into they're giving like heavy handed and firepower and like the kickstart mods more cooldowns and stuff like that on the tiers, which we are kind of touched on, but it definitely feels like Bungie's making some good changes, but some ass backwards like changes. It feels real weird. Like we're going, hey, let's incentivize our player base, then just go, hey, let's bass backwards our player base, and it's just like. What? It just, I don't know. So we'll have to like see what happens with the new season. I know me, Cajun, and Diva are going into the dungeon on day one, like right when reset hits. That way we can talk about the podcast next Friday with Farum. So definitely look out for that. I'm about to say did you have a good time? Did you enjoy the episode?
Oh yeah, I had a great time. It's been nice to just kind of talk about it and just, have a great conversation about it, have some laughs and everything. So
hell yeah! What do you want to leave the people with? What is your final statement for episode 51?
Final statement. Look, I think the takeaway that folks should have is that there's going to be some changes, obviously, and adjustments will have to be made. But I think we should all go in with some cautious optimism that never really hurt anybody. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And whatever it is, we shall move on. You know what I mean? Yeah, just going with good feelings about it. You know what I mean?
This too shall pass.
Fair enough, Diva.
Exactly.
How you feeling? What do you want to go in next season with, Diva?
You know what? I feel like a wish dragon once told me, once upon a time when I killed her, that one wish granted deserves another. Right? So I'm gonna take my time in my final message to send a little love to a guardian way, way, way out there in the universe named the Jade Rabbit Emperor.
Oh, from the show, yes.
Yes, he's out there starting his new streamer platform. So Guardians go out there, show him some love, help him out.
Most def.
Definitely.
All right, Cajun, what do you want to leave the people with?
Between all the changes that we've learned about beforehand and now this TWID and the story content going into next season, this is going to be one of the biggest overhauls for Destiny 2 in a while. So this is literally going to be a season of unknown for a lot of us. This is going to be a shakeup for a lot of things, gameplay, difficulty, as well as content. But not only that, this is the last season before we get a grand restructuring, via Bungie. Take your time. If you're going to continue to play. At the end of the day, take care of yourself, your mental health. If you've got to step away, step away. There's a ton of games out there.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, the Destiny 2 community's here. There are going to be a lot of us still playing. I'm looking forward to the storyline. I'm looking forward to the new dungeon. I'm looking forward to seeing what Bungie's going to give us, and then see what happens after Final Shape.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's what I want to leave people with. This game saved my life almost 10 years ago, back in 2014. I was alone. I was struggling starting college. I had a really traumatic thing happen with me a few months prior, and I was struggling. But funnily enough, the guys who told me about the beta and the launch of D1 Vanilla just joined our clan. And I'm really excited about that. That's going to be a really great experience doing the content with them and whatnot. And it really makes me want to have faith that this new LFG system is going to be great for the community. And if I could say one thing to everybody, I really hope that we as a community can help people with content on a greater scale and be there for them when they're trying to do this stuff. Because if we don't try and be there for them as they're entering this new dynamic of content, they're going to walk away from this franchise that has saved lives, that have touched people in great ways. And I fundamentally will be so let down if all I see in a few weeks on the forums is just kicked, treated like crap, yada yada. It's gonna suck to see it, but I hope that we can there's that shot of like how Crow's gun to Cade's head transformed into Zavala, extending his hand to Crow later on. Like that would mean more is if we turn the negative that we've seen for so many years into a positive and actually be there for the player base that needs us most when it comes to this possibly 6-month dry spell we're about to enter. I desperately feel like we need to have unity when it comes to this player base. So I hope that everyone can take a step forward into this new season with bright eyes and great aspirations for what's to come. We will be back next week with talking about everything. I want to say, Havik, thank you for being here. You were an awesome guest, man. It was a great time. And we will be back next week. Don't forget that you can follow us on Twitter at Cosmodrome Radio. You can check out us on any platform the next day after the show, raps and whatnot. Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, everywhere you want to look, those are there. We will be back next week, and we will have a great time, folks. So thank you for being here. We will catch you Starside. Peace out.
There it is.
Yeah.